Richie Duncan, EDC. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you.
Larry Woodruff. I'm having trouble with my camera. I think my security is blocking it for some reason. But I'm here.
You were up to begin with, and then it went away. So
I know and I have trouble with this every time. With the my security is turned up pretty high, and it just will turn the camera off.
okay, Robert, you're next.
I'm Bob Sykes, local farmer, and also chairman of the Tourism Development Authority.
All right, welcome. Marston.
Hey, good morning. This is Marston Rao. I work with the NCDOT Rail Division and Integrated Mobility Division with Jason Orthoner.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
William.
Morning, Lou Grillo, the Workforce Development Board Director in Carson.
All right, good morning, Lou.
Good morning,
William.
Lou.
Good morning, this is Will Durford. I'm the Assistant County Manager. I started about 2.5 weeks ago. I'm really excited to be here. Look forward to
All right.
EDC in the field.
Good deal. Welcome. Andy.
Andy Kuhn. I work in the Economic Development Office as the Existing Industry Coordinator. Morning, all.
Good morning. Jerry.
Good morning, Jerry Edmonds. I serve as the Vice President of Workforce and Community Engagement at Vance Granville Community College. It's a pleasure to see everyone. I miss our in-person meetings.
Good morning. Laurie.
Lori Duke with the Economic Development Office.
Morning. Lucy.
I am Fred Keller's sidekick around the county, carrying good wishes from the Economic Development Commission to our hardworking industry leaders and learning a lot, right, Fred?
Yes, ma'am, we are. Thank you. Fred Keller with Wake Electric.
Good morning, Fred. Kim.
Good morning. I'm Kim Denton, County Manager for Franklin County, and I'm just delighted that everyone is allotting this time this morning to learn more about how to advocate for Franklin County. So many exciting things going on. So welcome, everyone.
Agreed. Thank you. Jason.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jason Orthoner. I'm the Rail Division Director at NCDOT, and I have responsibility of freight rail, passenger rail, and statewide rail safety programs. Good to see everybody.
Good to have you. Thank you. Sherelle.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sherelle Lawrence. I am the Dean of Corporate Learning and Professional Development at Vance Granville, and also serving as the Dean of the Franklin campus here in Lewisburg.
Good morning. Welcome. Julia.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Julia Wright with Dominion Energy.
Good morning.
Morning.
Jackie. Jackie, can you hear us?
Oh, I can. Yeah. Hi.
Okay.
My name is Jackie Gonzalez. Sorry about that. My name is Jackie Gonzalez. I'm Senator Crawford's LA, and I'm happy to be here.
All right. Good morning. Gregory.
Hello. Hello. This is Greg Bethay. I'm the town manager of Franklin.
Good morning. Coy.
Good morning.
Coy's in charge. Good morning. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Coy Floyd, IT Director. Thank you for having me, and just hope we have a great meeting and enjoy ourselves.
Thank you, Coy. Coy's the one that makes all the magic happen here. So.
Indeed.
And Scott, I see you've joined us.
Yes, Scott Herrenbacher, County Planning Inspections Director. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you.
Okay. Good morning. So it's the panel's kind of moved around. Did I miss anyone? If not, we'll move to the next item. I need a motion and hopefully a second for approval of the minutes. Hopefully you've had time to look them over.
I'll make a motion.
All right, Larry with the first. Do I have a second?
I'll second. This is Sherelle Lawrence.
All right, Sherelle second. All in favor, just a show of hands, please. Looks like it's unanimous. Laura, is that good enough for you? Okay, good deal. All right, motion carries. Scott, I think you're have the privilege of introducing us S-Line presentators.
Yes, this is a project, I think it's been in development, a few different iterations for over the course of several years. I think it's something that coming closer to fruition. It's a project that I'm very excited about that I believe will be a game changer for the county as we talk about mobility for these areas. I think we can all agree that driving along US 1 is not always enjoyable. Having an opportunity for alternative method to be able to get us to downtown Raleigh along the US 1 corridor would be a game changer for our work patterns and our housing options here within the county. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Marston Rao. Hopefully I said that right or didn't butcher it too bad.
You did. Thank you.
She's recently updated, given us a great update. And this is a project I also like to note that the county commissioners have already adopted a resolution in support of. But we are basically still in the planning process. But I think, the horizon on this, I don't want to steal Marston's thunder here, but we're looking at, perhaps 5-10 years where we could really have something that would have a positive impact upon the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. All right, I'm going to share my screen and then turn it over to Jason. So let me see if I can figure this out. All right. There we go. Can y'all see that?
Yes, I can.
All right.
Right. Thank you, Marston. And can everybody hear me? Okay. All right. Good. Well, it's a pleasure to be with this group today. Always glad to meet regional economic development folks and just look at the exciting work that's going on across state and our region as far as bringing innovation, jobs, and in my world, new mobility and transportation options to bear to increase those initiatives. This presentation is on the S-Line, and the department has been working on this project for some time, and it's currently a corridor owned by CSX. You can see it in the map there in yellow. Extends really from Petersburg, Virginia to the north, all the way through Franklin County to Raleigh, and then continues south to Hamlet, and ultimately the corridor ends up in Florida. It was the main line route of the old Seaboard Airline Railroad, and it's a parallel route to the route that currently on CSX enjoys significant freight traffic. That's the A line that operates between Weldon, Rocky Mount, and Fayetteville in North Carolina, connecting the Northeast really to Florida. That is the CSX's primary through route. We've been focused on this line because it is an underutilized corridor. In other words, it has light freight traffic on it, but not a lot of additional uses, and it provides a great opportunity for both expanding mobility for our citizens up and down the East Coast, as well as new freight opportunities. If you could go to the next slide. So the S-Line is part of a regional network or vision called the Southeast Corridor that extends really from DC all the way to Florida. And you can see on the map there that the red lines are sort of the core of the Southeast Corridor's planned routes. We call the S-Line really the missing link. It's the gateway that connects the Northeast to the Southeast, and we're really looking at it for being one of the higher performing railroads in the Southeast, if not the country. The process for the S-Line began back in 1992 when FRA designated this corridor as one of several for higher performance or higher speed rail throughout the country. following that designation, it opened up opportunities for us to begin looking at the routings for what this corridor act would actually do. And so we did a 2-tier environmental process that began in around 1999. We finished the first tier 1 document that selected the route, the S-line route, to connect, to be the major connection point into the southeast. And in 2003, we began the tier 2 document to really analyze and look at the route along the S-line specific from Richmond to Raleigh. That document was finished in 2017 with record of decision, and it included the details of a lot of the what the route would look like, what working within the communities as far as how the railroad interacts with the highway system and that sort of thing would look like, and cleared the project for moving into right-of-way and final design and ultimately into construction. In 2019, we actually received a grant from the FRA to stand up a commission that would kind of oversee the activities of these 6 states and the District of Columbia as we develop the system. So that process is underway. Julie White, who is our Deputy Secretary for Multimodal here at DOT, is actually the chair of that commission. And then we're supported and is supported by the Secretary, who is the Chief Engineer at Georgia, Meg Perkle, and then Virginia's Department of Rail Director, Jennifer Mitchell, is the Vice Chair. Next slide, please. There's the railroad, the S-line has got a very proud history. You know, especially its routing through Virginia and North Carolina. These are some photos of when the route was a through route and saw significant train traffic, dozens and dozens of trains per day. Picture on the left is one of the many passenger trains that ran through the line. It's a picture of Sanford, and of course we have a freight train here at Franklinton, just north of downtown on US 1. I think one of the important things we tell folks is that a lot of the communities along the line really grew up around this railroad corridor. The railroad corridor dates back to the 1830s, and a lot of the historic economic development that came to the communities along the line was sort of rooted in the railroad. And it's really one of the thoughts that we have in bringing this back, is to bring the railroad back as a real economic engine for the region. Next slide. So one of the reasons we're able to look at the corridor is that the Class 1 railroads, including CSX, are focusing more and more on their heavy volume through routes. I mentioned the A-line earlier in a previous slide. The sort of lower volume or stub-ended routes are getting less attention now. And what it allows us to do is work with CSX to see if we can bring additional services to this line in the passenger rail world, as well as enhancing the freight utilization of the line as well. So, and one of the major things that we do here at the Department of Transportation in the rail division is looking at these lower volume lines as the Class 1s are kind of reducing their emphasis on them and preserving them and making sure that they have the ability to serve both existing and prospective industries all along the corridor as well, while we're developing these passenger rail expansion opportunities. Next slide, please. In December of 2019, Virginia set sort of the precedent of moving forward with a major program in the Commonwealth, in their state, to really advance rail initiatives. And part of that initiative in their program, which is called Transforming Rail in Virginia, was the acquisition of the S-line corridor from CSX on the Virginia side, from Petersburg nearly all the way down to Ridgeway. That it's part of an overall effort of the Commonwealth to acquire 350 miles of right of way and 225 miles of track. And they, as part of that effort, they really were honing in on the idea of, for these corridors that they're really looking to provide investments in, that ownership is the best method for ensuring that the investments that they make are aligned with their strategic vision for where rail fits into, the mobility and economic development in their state. So there's a couple of bullets here, aligning the investments, supporting the timing for development of the corridor. Of course, when you own something, it provides a whole lot more assurance and certainty of developing the overall program and project. Implementation of future technologies, both track-based and possibly other non-track-based technologies that could operate in the corridor. Supporting or leveraging this corridor for economic development opportunities, and then expanding the eligibility for grants along the corridor, because there are several grant programs through FRA that are geared towards public infrastructure, not just railroad-owned infrastructure. Next slide, please. So the department applied last year for a grant to kind of follow on with Virginia's acquisition of their portion of the corridor. So we applied under what's called the CRISI program under FRA to acquire the remaining segment between Raleigh and Ridgeway, to bring that into state ownership. And again, our priorities with this line align with what Virginia is doing, with the overall goal of this corridor really to as we improve the line from its current 25-mile-an-hour freight status up to a high-performing passenger rail and freight rail route, we're going to see trip times reduce significantly. Trip times, for instance, between Raleigh and DC would be cut off by about 90 minutes on the new route versus the existing route. So significant change there. In addition, the new route will allow some additional network resiliency for the freight network. The A line is a sort of a low-level line, and when we have natural disaster events, that can be a problem for getting freight up and down the East Coast. And so this line will be more of a high-grade line and less susceptible to flooding and other types of natural disasters, so that it can be a relief route. And then connecting, manufacturing and job centers to population centers. There are a couple of mega sites that are located along this corridor. The Triangle North mega site is one specifically that has reach by this route, and it would enjoy connections both south and north with an improved railroad system. Next slide. So this kind of shows you that some of the mega sites along the route. Moncure mega site, which is south of Raleigh, and the Triangle North mega site to the north, kind of in where you guys are. And then the slide also shows some of the conceptual travel times that could be enjoyed on an improved corridor. Henderson to Raleigh in 40 minutes, without having to compete with US 1 traffic. Wake Forest, Raleigh in 20 minutes, and the like. So there's great opportunity here to create a transportation system that's not relying on the congested highway network to continue to funnel goods and people up and down the corridor. Next slide. We subsequent to the winning the CRISI grant I just mentioned, we also targeted an opportunity with FTA, Federal Transit Administration, to pursue a transit-oriented development grant specifically targeted to the S line. We applied last year and won $900,000 in a grant opportunity in December, with great support from several communities, including Franklinton, all up and down the line. And of course, this study will really hone in on the opportunity of the S line as we look to develop the S line in these communities. How can the various communities actually grow around the S line and find economic development opportunities that could be leveraged as we look at stations, as we look at improved freight access and that sort of thing. So the study includes 13 potential study locations for potential stations. It looks at opportunities for creating value capture or other new ways to kind of fund the continuing operation of the rail system in line with the development that it can bring. I'm very excited about this opportunity, about having the connection with so many communities up and down the line in looking at transit-oriented development. Next slide, please. This map just shows you some of the locations that we're looking at for the study areas currently, from Henderson on down to Sanford. We are actually expanding this effort, as Warren County has also described or indicated interest. So we're excited about them coming on board as well. But again, just a great opportunity to really see how the S-Line can bring new and innovative ways to create development, economic development opportunities all up and down the line. Next slide. So where we are with sort of next steps on the Southeast Corridor and the S-Line specifically, we are continuing our partnership with the planning, the regional and metropolitan planning organizations all up and down the line. As we continue to progress the development, we kind of want to mature how this corridor is going to develop in and around these communities. Excited about that opportunity. In parallel with that, we are also looking at securing funding for the rail infrastructure. As I mentioned, we have a completed environmental process with a record of decision, which makes our project unique amongst all projects across the U.S. that we're really in a place where we could, with appropriate funding, could really begin to build incrementally this project. The thought right now is we'd work north from Raleigh up and continue to reach, up into Virginia with the railroad improvements and expansion of service. To that end, we're working with the MPOs and RPOs on STI projects that would sort of support that incremental development, and then leveraging those state-funded projects to go after a larger federal pot of money through federal discretionary grants. In other words, using that STI funding as the match for a larger discretionary grant to continue to build it out. And then preparing ourselves for other types of opportunities, such as economic stimulus packages, or other types of projects that could be at the federal level as well. So that's quite a bit going on there. We're excited about it. We're excited to work with you all and all the communities up and down the line as we see this vision kind of come to reality. And I'd be glad to take any questions.
I have one question. This is Lucy Allen. When you're talking with industries, to what extent do you expect industries in Franklin County particularly might be taking advantage of the rail? We're talking primarily of passenger at the moment. So I'll go back and concentrate on that. To what extent are you looking to think that it'll be utilized by people going to work, for instance, in Raleigh, or traveling for any purpose there? Have you done studies particularly on our area or the workforce?
That's an excellent question. So the short answer is yes, we're working on, for instance, specific targeted ridership analysis that would look at those types of opportunities. There's multiple different types of passenger rail services that we're looking at bringing to this corridor. The record of decision supports our kind of the first phase of this, and that is the expansion of intercity passenger rail service. And that would be connections, that would, it's similar to the Piedmont service we provide right now between Raleigh and Charlotte. Those services operate over typically a little bit longer distances and at faster speeds. And they would provide sort of that first tier of ridership. And then as we start to build those opportunities out, which would actually ultimately connect both south to Raleigh, for instance, and it would also go north to Virginia and ultimately connect to the Northeast as well. We will subsequently be looking at regional or commuter rail type of services that would have more frequent stations and provide the kind of services you're talking about, commuter-like times to access jobs in Raleigh, or folks living in Raleigh and commuting up into the Franklin County and that type of area as jobs come to bear there as well. So those studies are forthcoming as far as ridership and how that would all work out, but certainly part of the plan.
Thank you.
Lucy, this is Greg Bethay over in Franklinton. For us, one of the things that we see is the possibility of Novozyme being connected to downtown. If there was a station here, obviously, you're basically a bike ride from Novozyme to a station.
Well, that sounds great. I take the train anytime. I don't go off of the Washington now, but in years past when I did, I always took the passenger train from Rocky Mount. So I think travel by passenger, I'd love to be off, number one, by the way, going to Raleigh. So thank you for explaining all this. I think it's an exciting project. I hope Franklin County can do all we can to help.
I got a question, Jason Marston. Is there a renewed interest nationwide in railway transportation now? Because it seemed like it was on the decline years ago.
So what we're seeing, at least in a number of different, realms in the intercity passenger realm, many ridership is increasing. At least pre-pandemic, we had significant increases in ridership. We had increases in ridership in our state supported systems. The thing that passenger rail can do real well is connect the center of communities, to the center of other communities in a very efficient and productive way. So as we locate, station opportunities, and as we build, more frequent services around it, we find that people are using these services, to get from place to place, and do it in a productive fashion. They can use the time on the train to either do work or other types of activities where they wouldn't otherwise be able to do that behind a wheel.
Makes sense. Thank you.
That's a great point.
Jason, this is Larry Woodruff. I have several questions that I'd like to ask you and Marston. The one thing I'm thinking about is at these train stations that you'll have, have y'all looked into how much parking you'll have in case, like, it would be nice to say, go from Henderson or from Youngsville or Franklinton to Raleigh, and then get in your car that you leave at a parking spot and go to your final destination, like your job site or something like that. Has that been considered?
That's an excellent point. And I'll say that is those kind of talking points or those kind of considerations are really embedded in that transit-oriented development study that I just mentioned. How do people connect to the system and get sort of what we call the last mile? Where do they connect to their final destination?
Right.
Certainly, private automobile is a component of that. Other types of transportation, options, whether it's rideshare, bike, walking, or on-demand transit, all those types of things, are something that's being looked at. So ensuring that, the stations that need it have the appropriate amount of parking will certainly be a major component of what we look at.
My second question is the old line between, say, Lewisburg to Franklinton, that was torn up some time ago. I don't know. What's the situation with that right of way and the possibility of rebuilding that track?
So that is a department-owned corridor. We've been working with, I'm fairly confident we've been working with Franklinton and Lewisburg and a few other communities in between about, what the appropriate current use of that corridor is. I think there is a trail project, on that corridor, looking at that type of connection into Franklinton. You know, because it's a quarter we own, it kind of goes along with the point I made before. We preserve rail corridors so that, you know, ultimately, if there's a justification to restoring rail service, we have that opportunity. So that's something we certainly are keeping open as we look at that corridor.
Has there been any cost estimates given about rebuilding that? Because that would really open up the heart of Franklin County.
I'm not aware of any cost estimates have been prepared to date on restoring rail service there, but certainly that would follow. You know, if there was a determination that rail service need to be looked at for that corridor again.
My one more. You were talking about all the freight lines. You know, I live in Youngsville, and you know, they used to, like you said, used to be the main line. But could you give us some idea of like the mix of the type of freights or the freight that's being transported on our rail lines to just sort of see what goes up and down the tracks today?
Right. Well, right now the corridor has a number of different uses. There are a lot of industries that use rail service. There's some right there between Youngsville and Wake Forest. So there's a lot of wood product and finished wood product type services. There is glass products, concrete, cement. You know, these types of products.
Place up in Lewis, I mean, Wake Forest, that uses it for the sheetrock.
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, a lot of these sort of raw materials and bulk product work really well with rail. You know, so they support, you know, these heavy industry type of manufacturing type facilities. And of course, as we raise the track class, it's no longer just 25 miles an hour. We raise it up to a higher speed with better fluidity. We hope that will also allow, you know, more industry to locate along the line.
All right, this is my last point, and this would be for Marston too. Do y'all remember, and I'm sure the entity's still out there, the old North Carolina Railroad?
Yes, the North Carolina Railroad. You're talking about the railroad that operates between Charlotte and Morehead City is the North Carolina Railroad. Is that what you're referring to, sir?
Exactly. Do y'all have anything to do with that?
Well, you know, certainly we work, I can tell you, we work with the North Carolina Railroad Company every day because their corridor between Charlotte and Morehead City is one of the busiest in the state. And it connects directly with this line at Raleigh. We actually, the S line shares the corridor, is actually a component of the corridor between Raleigh and Cary. So we work closely with that organization and also both CSX and Norfolk Southern that operate within that corridor.
It's a really interesting story. I used to work with some of the board of directors back when I was a financial advisor. They had to own, you know, a certain number of shares of North Carolina Railroad.
Right.
And I somehow sort of got in that niche, and I really learned a lot about it. It was really an interesting story, and it was just a huge amount of business for the state, and most people never even heard of it.
That's true. I know that North Carolina Railroad Company, you know, along with us, is doing a lot more now to kind of promote the awareness of rail serve sites and the opportunity of, you know, freight rails and passenger rail for that matter, as a real solution for mobility and transportation and movement of goods.
Thanks. I appreciate your time.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any other questions? Well, we appreciate both of you coming and updating us. And where is Scott still here? Yeah. Scott, you have anything you want to add to it?
No, not this time. But if you have any questions in the interim, please feel free to reach out to me or EDC and provide you any follow-up. And I'll just note that, you know, going forward, once we have tangible items that occur or reach milestones, we want to make sure we'll keep those board abreast of those where we've gone in terms of the planning process.
All right, thanks again. Richie, looks like it's project updates, you and Andy.
Absolutely. And first, I just want to say thanks again to everybody for the S-Line presentation. I think all of you recognize how important this could be for Franklin County, and delighted that we're looking at Franklinton as a possible station stop. That would just be transformative. So very exciting to get the update on that. And Scott, appreciate you and the team from the S-Line very much. Thank you. All righty, so the project update, and Andy, if I could ask you to share the screen on the project update, and we'll talk to that. And as he is bringing up the screen, I will tell you that projects have not slowed down, which is a good thing. You will see what has happened in January and February. And if you will look at February, the number of projects that came in is one of our highest months year over year. So we are seeing an increase in the number of projects coming in at this point. I will tell you that a lot of the criteria for those projects, we may or may not be able to submit a site or a building for. And if you look to the right of that chart, you will see what they're looking for. Out of those projects, 10 were looking for buildings. And you've heard us say this before, that the lack of a building, not just with our county, but in the entire area, limits sometimes your ability to put in for a project. The business wants to get to market faster, and they are of the opinion if they can take an existing building, even if they have to do upfits, they'll get to market faster than if they have to start with a site. When you're looking at a site, the preference being that that site is, if not pad ready, at least cleared and will not take a long time to become a viable site. And if you look down at project type, if you can scroll down a little bit, you'll see that for us, we still, and this is a good thing, we're still getting a lot of manufacturing, and that is really ideal for Franklin County, is the manufacturing. We've got the workforce to support that, in combination with Jerry at Vance Granville Community College and with Lou with the workforce development. We are able to work together as teams to support the manufacturing base here. When you look at the building request, again, not particularly different from what we have seen. You see the large size that is being requested, and that typically is your life sciences, someone bringing in a new headquarters, and that is really not Franklin County's highest best opportunity. As we've discussed before, our highest best opportunity tends to fall in that 10,000 to 50,000 window. And you know, we've had discussions about shell buildings, and having that building gets you a look lots of times, whereas if you just have the site, you may not get the look. You'll see how the manufacturing sectors skew in terms of plastics, pharma, and metal, and then the site request in terms of the acreage. I do want to put a footnote on the site request and the acreage, and good news, some of you may be aware of it, but it is officially closed. We have sold another site out at Triangle North Franklin, 4.4 acres on the site that is closest to the airport. And we'll keep you updated as that continues to move forward, but we're very excited to have a new business coming in there from out of state. And so we'll keep you apprised on the details. I also want to mention and highlight the Lewisburg Industrial Park. They are doing a fantastic job of getting out and promoting that site. We just worked with them on, they presented at a site selectors conference with Electricities for Foreign Direct Investment, had some wonderful graphics that they used about the site. And maybe at our next meeting, we can ask them to share some of that with you. Did a great job. And so that is what we see happening in the projects. I'm going to conclude the projects with an encouragement for you to look at the latest edition of the Triangle Business Journal. I just got it yesterday. And the featured article is about the land in Wake County, how expensive it has become, how little land is left, and that is pushing people to the Halo counties, i.e. Franklin County is mentioned, Johnston County is mentioned, Lee is mentioned. And I think everyone sitting here is aware of how everything is moving out from Wake County, and it will continue to do so with their land being less available, and that is available is very high. So any questions on projects? All right, I'll turn it over to Andy and let you take the demographics.
Real quick, Richie, if you don't mind, I'd like to expound just a little bit on the manufacturing sector. If anybody wants to do a deep dive, you can go down the rabbit hole I've been going down recently and trying to find the delineation between life sciences and then pharmaceuticals. And I can tell you that I'm learning a lot about upchain versus downchain. And the growth in the life sciences sector that we see in our region is now producing pharmaceutical growth because they're manufacturing elements of the life science process. And that's where I think that over the next few years, we're going to continue to see enhanced growth in these markets here. And it'll be something now that we'll keep you all updated on, but it's an exciting time here in the Triangle.
And I will tag that to remind people that we have Amcor Rigid Plastics here in Franklin County. Their business is booming, and they do the packaging for some of the pharmaceuticals. So we are getting some of the business as a result of this growth.
And medical plastics, we have a company here in the county that also produces medical devices of a plastic variety, and they're in a growth phase as well.
Right.
So the demographics report, interesting times here, post-COVID, we're now a year out. So the collective world got turned on its head exactly 1 year ago. And so it's interesting to look back through the data and see just how we've recovered and how we haven't. Population in Franklin County, our most recent updates of that, as you can see from 2014 to current, we're over 70,000. The census, as we well know, has been moderately delayed because of COVID, but we're hoping that more and more detail and data about our area demographics, transportation, et cetera, is going to be coming out in the next few quarters, and that's going to give us an enhanced idea of who we are as a community. The average weekly wages. So we now have second quarter of 20 data in these wage reports, and as you can see, it remained relatively the same. So what we originally had running through the second quarter, you have some indication of COVID from last year, but yet the wage growth and the wage level has remained relatively the same. I'll be curious when we get the third quarter results to see if some of that was affected. But like I said, that information trails significantly comparatively to United States, North Carolina, and Franklin County. As you can see, there is some differentiation there, and we're just hoping to continue to see area improvement in wages in people's lives. The unemployment rate. This gets a little tricky to read, but if you see the blue and red lines have meshed, it's because the North Carolina and Franklin County unemployment rates are now identical. They're trailing exactly the same. We are seeing a plateauing or a leveling out nationwide around the 6% level. Prior to COVID, we were hovering at 4%. Now it looks like we're hovering at 6%. What this means, economists are still trying to make that determination, and we're reading reports and hearing studies all the time about whether or not what peak employment looks like post-COVID. I'll move to labor metrics first. The gap that you see here, obviously, is what we saw from COVID last year, and now we're trailing again, and that 6% is reflected here in the difference. The most recent data we have is from December of last year with 30,954 folks currently in the labor force with 29,101 employed. You want to have a stable and robust number of persons who are available for work because we have area businesses who are always looking for employees. So you want to maintain some gap there. And lastly, the permit activity. Things that we've continued to observe over time. I'm sure every single one of you who are on this call have probably read and seen something and noticed that our real estate market is somewhat hot right now, even here in Franklin County. And that continues. 85 single family home permits permitted in February. And we're starting to see a little bit of an uptick now on some commercial permitting. And that's our role here in the Economic Development Office, to find ways to enhance and make that even easier for persons to start businesses and build new structures here in the county. We're ready and willing and able to serve, and we want to encourage every single person who's ever thought about building a building or wanting to put together a business plan and get your own brick and mortar. We want to help you. So that's all I have today. Richie, back to you.
All righty. And Keith, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
All right. Thanks to both of you for that update. I guess we'll go right into the municipality reports. Who do we have represented here? I text Jonathan. He normally is on these meetings, and somehow or another this one got away from him, and he said he was on his 4th call. So he wanted me to update about the Depot Hill project, and I think I've already done that. So who will, what other municipality do we have represented here? We can do this.
Yeah, I'll be glad to talk about Franklinton.
Okay.
We're continuing to see activity in the downtown, and we're starting to see some improvement in the possibility of additional apartments and that sort of thing. So those are the areas that we're simply focusing on at this point, and that seems to be working.
All right. Thank you, Greg. And Jonathan just texted me. He's actually on this meeting. Jonathan, you want to speak?
Oh.
All right. Well, how about we'll come back around to him. Or here he is. Okay.
There he is.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
Hey, sorry everybody. Sorry for coming in late. I had a bunch of phone calls this morning. So Lewisburg's moving forward with its concert series. We're hoping that as things continue to improve, so will our ability to host those events in downtown. I know most folks I see on the street are asking me, hey, when are we doing a concert? So I'm hoping we can get those things going back in downtown Lewisburg, get all that good stuff happening again. Keep getting more interest in downtown, which is always great considering what we're going through. I think Keith mentioned he already talked about Depot Hill. So hopefully the board will approve some contracts, construction contracts at their Monday meeting and start moving that project forward. Our co-working space is open and accepting applications for that. We've got 2 offices filled, 2 more to go, and looking to have some other small business features in that building as well. So if you know anybody that's looking for an office space for a small business startup, tell them to give us a call. We're happy to give them a good rate to start out. And just looking forward to moving forward. So thank you all.
All right. Thank you, Jonathan.
Jonathan, I have a question. Is there a meeting space in that co-working space available? Is there a rentable space for small meetings?
Yes, sir, there is.
Okay, thank you very much. That's what I wanted to know.
Yep. If you want more details, you can get in touch with our economic development coordinator, Monique Wilkins. She's handling that project, and hopefully I'm going to talk with Lori later today and make sure that Monique is on these calls from here on out. So if anybody has any questions for her, they can just.
All right, good deal.
And Jonathan, I don't know if you heard, but we wanted to let everyone know what a great job y'all did with the site selectors at the Foreign Direct Investment Site Selectors Conference. You and Monique did a great job.
Yeah, I can't take any credit for that. That was all Monique. It was, I told her, I said, yeah, I'm going to be out of town. So welcome to it. Have fun. And I think with y'all's help, she did a great job. I think that was a great move for the town of Lewisburg to create that position and put her in it. I'm looking forward to all the great things that she can accomplish, throughout her tenure there. So looking forward to it.
That's great.
And she's also heading up the downtown group. Jonathan, you might want to speak to that. We've had our initial meeting on how to improve the downtown area.
Yeah, so a group of businesses in downtown, as well as Sherelle, I see you there, was there, and a couple others looking to create a group or a nonprofit to help move the downtown forward. I don't think they've gotten as far as coming up with a name, but I believe their next meeting is I think in 2 weeks. So it's exciting I've seen these in other towns that I've worked for, internships and other things. They can be really successful if they come together with a common goal. So yeah, we're excited. Hopefully they come up with a lot of good things. Especially
All
with
right.
Sherelle leading the charge as part of, as a group member of that. No, shake your head, yes. So anyway, yeah, I think their next meeting is in 2 weeks.
Okay, good deal. Thank you. Richie, is anyone here from Youngsville or Bunn that can represent?
I do not see anyone
I don't
from
either.
those.
No, they're not.
Okay, all right. Other business. Sherelle, looks like it's all you. You're gonna wrap this thing up here, so make it good.
You got it. No problem. Thank you guys again so much for the time. So I recently met with Richie and Andy and kind of shared some of the things happening here at the campus. And so Richie was like, well, this would be amazing for everyone to sort of hear about what's happening here in Lewisburg at our Franklin campus. So I am going to share very briefly. I will be quick. Just share with you some of the updates that we have here at the campus. So wanted to let people know that we are still running programs in person here. One of the special programs that I'm so excited that we're able to support is the Department of Public Safety. So they are in dire need of getting more, early law enforcement individuals trained. And so we are serving as a training site for them, for DPS. And so they run classes all day, every day here at our campus, and will continue to do so through the new year. So we're super excited to have them here. In addition, we have our welding still happening full force, cosmetology, our biotech classes, as well as nursing. All of those programs, again, are running here on campus, socially distant, but we're seeing an uptick in people and their interest to just return back to campus and really get to, start building on their credentials and whatnot. In addition, we have two, actually, and a third is coming down the pipeline, our industrial maintenance technician program, but our production technician program just started in February. I heard from Dean Weary in Granville County that we are actually starting another one coming up in April, and we already have a wait list. So this is amazing. So we've got a couple of new programs that are starting, and really these programs have come from us listening to industry, right? Industry saying, here's what we're looking for here. We really wish we could have this type of person or this type of training. And so we heard them loud and clear and teamed up together to come up with some really neat new certification programs. Some of these, as you can see, are as quick as 16 days, 96 hours. And then we have like our industrial maintenance program that is 16 months, but you leave with amazing opportunities. It's got an apprenticeship partnership built into that. So we're super excited about the new things that we're rolling out that we're hearing a need for. In addition, we have an agritech program that is starting up. That is actually starting in Warren County right now, but there's conversation about potentially bringing that to Franklin County as well. So we're certainly open to anyone who would want to, kind of talk to us more about that opportunity here in the county. In addition, we have some great funding opportunities for anyone who's looking to come back and rebrand yourself. We've got apprenticeship programs to help folks pay for school. We've got our GEAR Scholarship Program, which is a pot of money that we receive from Governor Cooper. And so we are able to send folks back to do high demand training programs in less than 6 months. So we're super excited about that. Again, fully paid for. And so we're encouraging people to just know what's out here. And then hopeful that our business partners will understand we're training people and trying to get them back into the fields and working in our local organizations. In addition, we've got a special partnership project, which will be great for Franklin County schools, our Job Corps Scholars Program. And this is really geared to students who may not want to make the full diploma or degree commitment. There is a program where they can go back to school and get job placement assistance. So we're really working on partnerships there, especially with Franklin County schools, looking at how we can get students to get some technical training and support to really boost their credentials when they get ready to go into the workforce. Last shameless plug on my end. Again, my formal title is corporate learning and professional development here at the college. And so my role is to really get with our local businesses and nonprofit community partners to offer training and development. So if you or any organizations that you hear from are in need of leadership training, management training, more internally, any interpersonal development trainings, we have those opportunities and would love to partner. I do a full consult with companies just to hear about, retention or any kind of issues that they're having and seeing how we can develop a training program to best fit those needs. And last but not least, we have our personal enrichment department, which is thriving. I love this. Richie and I were super excited, and Andy as well, on our call, because we're now able to offer things that are really geared towards the community. So as we see our population increasing, we want the community to know that there are opportunities for them to meet other people right here in Franklin County. And so we're offering, as you see, a variety of classes that'll be that have already started up in February and will continue on. And so some of the spotlight things, we've got yoga starting here at the Franklin campus. We've got painting classes, quilting and budgeting and event planning. So all sorts of things to really pique folks' interest. So we're super excited again to be able to offer that to the county, and yeah, just look forward to being a support however we can. Thank you.
All right, Cheryl. That was a good one. Thank you very much.
Cheryl, sorry, Keith, I had a
go ahead.
question for Cheryl.
Hey, Larry, yes.
I've noticed you had the welding program. Now, I assume that is like sort of more industrial welding, that type of thing. But I know a couple of people that have gotten into like artistic type of welding. I don't know if you're familiar with what I'm talking about. I'm sure you are. And I mean, that has gotten to be extremely big. I don't know if your program addresses any of that.
Yeah, so we actually do. And it's funny because if you come to the campus, we have a display case where many of our students do take more of an artistic approach to welding. And so we showcase some of the work that they do. One thing I had mentioned to the Downtown Association is if there's any kind of welding work like that our students can do to, either put together an art piece or something like that for the town. We find every now and again, we'll get a couple of jewel students who have that, creative eye. So yes, we are seeing that. And our instructors, encourage students to take, a creative approach to their welding, even though they do focus on training them for industry.
Yeah. Would it be in the future, could it be a potential specific class for that type of thing?
I'm looking at Dr. Edmonds, and I definitely think it can, for sure. Even if it's like a Con Ed class, where people take on something like that for personal interest. That's a great idea.
It'd be a great outreach to the general public too, I think.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for it.
Yes, no, thank you for that idea. That's excellent. Like Dr. Edmonds and I are both like jotting that down.
Yeah. So Larry, then thank you so much for the question, because that is a piece of the personal enrichment that Dean Lawrence just shared with you. And so that's one of her many areas of focus. I just wish I could get her to do a little work around here. I mean, as you saw, she's just sitting around twiddling her thumbs all the time, but that's actually an area, Larry, that we have discussed. And you're right. It's some folks don't want to necessarily do welding for industrial, or they may be retired and they're just doing it as art. And so we are certainly looking into convening enough students with that interest to run that class. So please stay in contact with Sherelle and let her know if we can be of assistance to you.
I will. I noticed the other thing was ballroom dancing. I remember I used to play a lot of basketball, and I had a traumatic knee injury, had to quit. And I got into the ballroom dancing. And I swear, I think that was harder than playing basketball. I mean, it was great conditioning, and it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. We have that class starts up in April, and we're offering it again right here in Lewisburg at our Franklin campus. And so, you know, things like that are just different things that, you know, most people we've heard in the community, you know, I've got to go to Raleigh or I've got to go to Durham if I want a class like that. We want to bring that right here to Franklin County.
That is that's such a good point. It's just that we just got to figure out a way to get it out there to the people to let them know it's available.
It's funny you mentioned that, Larry, the welding. I watched the program last night. It can be a big business, a business to be into. So, Larry, if you'll get Lucy Allen and Fred Keller, I'll take the class with the three of you, and we'll go out there and see what we can do.
Oh, I'm gonna.
I gotta have Lucy there.
Taking pictures.
I can promise you, I'm gonna check on that ballroom dancing classes and talk to my wife.
Keith, how are you going to take a class? Keith, how are you going to take a class when you're teaching ballroom?
All right. Anybody else have anything to add here at the end?
Well, Keith, we have one more thing. Lou has got, I think, some new information about a COVID grant that supports businesses. Lou, you want to tell us about that real quick?
Absolutely. Thank you, Richie. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. And definitely wanted to give Vance Granville kudos. If there's anything they're doing, it's the opposite end of the spectrum of sitting around and twiddling their thumbs. So Dr. Edmonds and Dean Lawrence definitely want to congratulate you and commend you on the work that you're doing in the community and the partnership that we have as well. It's turned out a lot of success. And that is kind of a prelude to what I'm talking about. We've had a COVID national dislocated worker grant that we've had in operation since about May of last year. That has been focused a lot on training, and we've actually had some great success stories go through the CDL class, Advanced Granville, and had success on the training side. There's another component of it that's actually we've been getting a lot of education on that hasn't been really relevant to our area in the past, but it's the disaster relief side of it that some of our neighboring or eastern counties experienced through the tornadoes and flooding that we really didn't have experience, but just been learning from them. And really this week just had some communication. So I wanted to give you an update that we have some opportunities to start using that funding for some other areas. And what I mean is that there's businesses that have incorporated scanners or COVID-related activities to their operation, whether scanning, cleaning, or anything within your operation that we're not currently aware of, but is COVID-related. We'd like to talk to you on the workforce board side. Through the Career Center, we have funding to actually do what's called a work experience, which is similar to an internship in the regards that a person has an opportunity to pick up a skill or actually work, but we have the funding to pay for their salary in that activity. So it's something that we think could be definitely an opportunity to help the community in the relief where we have some dislocated individuals that it would be an opportunity to put them back to work. And also potentially take a burden off some of the local businesses that we have that had to pick up additional cleaning and responsibilities due to COVID. So just really wanted to bring that forward to the group, just so if you could share that. And definitely want to thank Richie, Andy, and Laura. You guys have been tremendous as well through this, just communicating everything that's going on and keeping us abreast of ways that we can help the businesses. So I think this is just another opportunity where we can share some information. If you would like to talk to me, definitely you can reach out to me, the workforce board, but obviously just connecting with Richie, Andy, or Lori to let them know that you know somebody that's interested in talking about this, they could definitely direct you to me or the Career Center staff. The business services team is the one who's leading this effort. But we just see it as another opportunity. We have 2 years of funding on that. So, it's not something that, we're close to expending. It's actually a whole new opportunity as I see it on the table right now to help out the businesses in this community. So thank you for, giving me a moment just to kind of share that and love to talk to anybody more later about how we could possibly implement that for them.
Thank you, Lou.
All right.
And Keith, Sorry to
go
raise my
ahead.
hand again. I know
Yeah, I got all of them.
I know the meeting's going long, but Kim did ask, Stanton County Manager asked me to share 2 items with y'all. The first is about the vaccination clinics. I think everybody is aware that we're holding those every Tuesday and Thursday out at the Triangle North Executive Airport. It has been a team effort. It is going great. And it is now open for group 3. So she wanted to be sure that we encouraged you to tell your friends and family that group 3 is open and sign up online and get you an appointment and come out there if you are interested in getting the vaccine. The other thing is that we have revisions to our county's Unified Development Ordinance, and that is available on the county's planning website. We would really like your feedback on that. So when you have an opportunity, go to the planning website and take a look at that. And the last thing I have is, Jackie, I see you're on here from Senator Crawford's office. Is there anything that you would like to say on behalf of the senator?
Sure, yeah. She couldn't be here today because she had a committee meeting first thing in the morning. But I did want to give a couple kind of legislative updates real quick. Senator Crawford is working with other members of the General Assembly to talk about some economic relief that could be provided to small businesses as well as families. Some of that could be done in separate legislation, and a lot of that will continue to be done in the budget as well, especially as the federal government continues to pass COVID relief resolutions. So I will definitely keep you posted on that. There is a deadline today to request legislation, and so everyone is just kind of running around in a hurry to make sure they get everything in when they can. And then we have another filing deadline in a month. And so if you have any questions about any legislation, I'm happy to share the link to legislation you can see Senator Crawford is on, as well as that could be helpful. If you could encourage people to sign up to our newsletter, we're hoping to share just once a month, just some quick updates on what's going on in the district, as well as in Raleigh at the General Assembly, but also COVID updates, not just in regards to vaccinations, but how we're going to recover from this after the fact, right? Once everyone gets their vaccinations and gets back to normal, what will that look like for everyone? And so I'm happy to share all that information as well.
Thank you.
Richie, one question. What's the website on those COVID vaccines for down at the Triangle North?
If you'll go to the Franklin County Health Department website. And Larry, if you run into any issues getting to it, please feel free to reach out to us.
All right. Anything else?
Keith, I want to just mention one thing. This is Lucy Allen. Because I am so proud of Lewisburg College and how it has handled COVID. Our students are on campus. They've had a few cases, but have dealt with that, and those people are at home rather than on campus. But if you look around, there have been a lot of problems on college campuses. And so I wanted to put in that word because I think that the college is such a important part of our economic development when you look at its presence in the county and the livability part of it. I'm looking forward to going to some baseball games. We've got the new stadium at the high school that'll be jointly used some, I think, for track. I'm not sure by the college. So anyway, I was going to put in a word for Lewisburg College. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is that it? Okay. I guess I only need one more motion then, right, Richie?
That's right.
Motion.
All right, motion made. I'm gonna assume that Lou's gonna do second, so we'll move out of here.
Shall second.
All right. Thank all of you for coming to this meeting. And Richie, I get the chairman's check this time, right?
That's right.
All right.
It's in the mail.
I think it's the same as the other one I get. So,
It-
all right, good deal.
Big
We'll
bounces.
give you a
Be careful,
bonus.
Keith.
Right. All right. Good seeing everyone, and hopefully we'll meet in person soon.
Take care.
All right.
Good to see everybody. Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
Bye-bye.